Modern games are soulless. You ever look at a game you used to love and it doesn't even feel like itself anymore? Because it was optimized for the biggest profit and the least effort. Identity comes second when your biggest focus is appealing to everyone. Look at Call of Duty, a series that was known for its dramatic campaigns and fun but grounded multiplayer got turned into a battle royale with Nicki Minaj and Snoop Dogg. And the worst thing is, this is just the tip of the iceberg. Lately, the gaming industry has changed, becoming much more corporate and disconnected. When you boot up a game for the first time, your initial thought isn't, I hope I'm going to have fun. It's, is this game optimized for my PC? Will I have to download the 70GB day one patch? Do I have to register for a shitty live service so I can get past the main menu? But let's say you pass all the trials and tribulations and finally get to play the game, only to be greeted by Tung 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 Sahur in the item shop. This fills me with existential dread. And Fortnite is the perfect example. No game has sacrificed its identity more just to stay relevant. I mean, Fortnite started out as a co-op zombie survival base builder. Gameplay-wise, it had more in common with 7 Days to Die than a battle royale. But I can complain all I want. Fortnite or Call of Duty had an identity at some point. But what about games that have no reason to exist? And no game shows this better than Overwatch 2. Sequels are supposed to evolve the formula, push things forward. But what if instead you devolve the formula? The original Overwatch was designed as a 6 versus 6 shooter, so when the sequel reduced the count to 5, it led to a lot of balancing issues. Why would they do this? Because they did fuck all. The main premise of the game, PvE, was abandoned, so they had to think of something new to rationalize making a sequel. Don't worry, there is a silver lining. This mess was free. Or so we thought. The game was free to play, but the new heroes were not. Still, you were practically playing an upgraded Overwatch, so it wasn't all that bad. But what if you abandon the original and release a sequel that not only costs money, but is also undeniably worse? Yes, I'm looking at you, Payday 3. At first glance, it's just a bad sequel. There's a catch though. A decent chunk of Payday 2's content was free, but a lot of the fun stuff like a minigun or a flamethrower were locked behind DLC. And that wasn't a problem. Hell, I own a few of them myself. However, when your game has over 100 DLCs, you expect the sequel to at least carry something over. Think again, bozo. All you're getting is a fresh Unreal Engine coat of paint. Speaking of Unreal Engine, another factor that's contributing to this inauthentic feeling games is an obsession with realistic graphics. Batman Arkham Knight is 11 years old, but it looks beautiful to this very day because they weren't trying to be realistic, they were heavily stylized. I'd compare this to paintings because it's much easier to notice imperfections on realistic ones than on those that have their own sense of style. Deadlock, Valve's MOBA, used to have this overly realistic lighting all over its map. Side by side with today's much more stylized lighting, it looks like shit. Though graphics aren't usually the main culprit, they're just a symptom of inauthenticity. It all boils down to making meaningless games just for the sake of money. Though this is where it gets a bit ugly. I give Payday a lot of flack for its non-crossover DLCs, but what if I told you there's a company so greedy it scammed its own developers? Subnautica 2, the long-awaited sequel to one of the best survival games ever made. The development? A complete mess. Developers were promised huge bonuses if they managed to finish the game before a deadline, only for the game to be delayed past the deadline on purpose so they wouldn't get any. How huge were those bonuses? $250 million. Subnautica sets a strange precedent, and that's developers getting punished for making good games. Luckily, the US court has ruled against the studio and put control back in the hands of the original developers. Unfortunately, the same can't be said for Disco Elysium. Imagine you wake up in a dumpster, someone stole your skin, took your life's work, and pissed all over it. That's what happened to the developers. The story obviously isn't that simple, but the point is, Disco Elysium, one of the greatest CRPGs ever with an incredible potential for a sequel, only for the people responsible to get fired. All of this resulted in the same studio working on a sequel that's pretty much a fucking skinwalker. Now, you're probably expecting me to go for the low-hanging fruit of microtransactions. But guess what? I want more. You know why Counter-Strike is the most played game on Steam? Underage gambling. You know why so many people switch to Marvel Rivals? Because they like the movies. No!
No movies!
It's about the swimsuits, and I get it. I'm not gonna sit here on my video essay pedestal and tell you that liking these things is wrong. Fuck greedy companies that are ruining the industry, and honestly, Psylocke's disproportionate curves have more personality than